You're in the storytelling business. Your brand has a story to tell. Go tell it, and make money off it. Make it so good. Put the right talent in it. The human element, that's what makes it compelling. So, hey, look, Coke doesn't just make a great product. They make a great movie. Like I want to watch the next Coke movie or whatever.
Yeah.
Right? That's kind of like how I see things going.
Welcome to Content Kingdom. This is your backstage pass to the people, tools, and the trends shaping the future of content marketing.
So, Patrick, you think Coca-Cola is going to start making movies? That's the game plan?
That's kind of what I hope. And I think they should, because we are in the brand entertainment era. And yeah, whether it's them, Delta Airlines, Raising Cane's, Chick-fil-A, whatever, it's happening, man. And that's who has the money, and that's who's got the motivation, and they've got the brands to do it.
So okay, so let's think about this. So, I know before we started the show, we were talking about backrooms. Like, I don't think IKEA is going to make backrooms, So what does this mean? Like, what is what's it going to look like for Coca-Cola?
I don't think the backrooms is on brand for IKEA. I'm with you.
Yeah, I don't think so. I don't think that's like a big move for them. I don't know. Maybe it is, because it sure makes furniture stores exciting. But like, what would that look like, and why do you think this is going to be the case? So let's take, for example, like, who of these big brands, why would they make a movie?
Well, so first of all, I mean, again, we're in the attention economy, right? Or maybe we're actually maybe even leaving the attention economy. Like, how in this day and age, and it is only going to get worse with AI, how can you possibly grab someone's eyeballs and keep them for any period of time when there's so much great stuff out there that you could be watching? I mean, you could be endlessly scrolling on Instagram or TikTok, whatever, and never get bored, right? So, again, I could try to buy a bunch of ads on Facebook, or I could actually maybe put my product in a microdrama or something that's going to keep people's eyeballs for a very long period of time. And it's just basically cutting out the middleman. Once upon a time, if you're an advertiser, you're trying to buy ads during the commercial breaks or whatever. Well, commercial breaks don't work so hot anymore unless it's a sporting event or a live event or whatever, right? So now it's like, well, let's just cut out the middleman, and let's just make our own. Let's. I mean,
commercials are so dead that I mean, my parents, who are in their 70s, won't watch a live sporting event. Instead, they they'll stream it, or they'll record it or cue it or whatever they want to do. But they will go absolutely ballistic if anybody tells them and spoils the event for them, right? So, so I don't know. Do you watch your LSU games live, or do you?
No, of course. Well, I mean, I try to watch them in person too. Yeah.
Yeah. In person's the best. But okay, so getting back to this, so microdrama. Tell me, what is a microdrama?
It's a soap opera in your pocket. Maybe that's the best way. Well, so nice. I didn't know anything. I mean, you asked me this time last year, I couldn't have told you, right? I told you the story about Tommy Harper, the producer of Top Gun Maverick, Star Wars, Star Trek, worked for J.J. Abrams, whatever. There's somebody that we met with Battle Los Angeles, a film that shot in Baton Rouge in 2009. And again, he reaches out to a friend of mine who he's kept up with, who's from his hometown, to say, and he just said, "Hey, what do you know about microdramas?" My friend was like, "I don't know anything about microdramas." We sent a bunch of information, and that information is just, you look at it, they're so huge in China. They call it mobile viewing, right? I mean, I've looked at photos of people on a train in China. Every single person on the train is watching a microdrama, right? Because they're, let's be honest, they're addictive. I mean, it is one of those things where the oldest rule of show business kicks in, always leave them wanting more. Well, you want to watch an episode, you might watch 60 seconds, 90 seconds, whatever, but you got to see what happens next. I mean, there's a lot of page turning, So Tommy basically said to my friend, like, "Hey, do you know anybody in Louisiana who'd be interested in getting involved with microdramas?" And so, of course, he sent them to me. And the more I started going down that rabbit hole, I was like, oh my goodness, yes. I mean, they're very lucrative in the sense they're very cheap to produce. I mean, on average, you make one for about $175,000. But people are captivated. I mean, we're talking about the same. I mean, like I've got one on my desk right now that's 80 pages. Well, that's close to the size of a feature film script,
Yeah.
And, so if it's 120 minutes or whatever, I mean, if you can kind of weave your product or whatever in and out of that, then I could see why that might be appealing to brands, So I'm just saying that micro dramas are a very big deal over there. It's like a $9 billion industry there. They're predicting it's going to be like a $30 billion industry over here by 2030, right? So it's not going away. A lot of people say, oh, well, they already tried that. It was with Quibi. Well, Quibi, just so you know, happened during the pandemic when everybody was stuck at home. They weren't mobile,
Right.
that's for sure. So why not watch something on your big screen or your TV?
So
and the model, in my opinion, was broken too, because they made them for too much. They were trying too hard to put like Hollywood quality everything in there. When I say Hollywood quality, like stars and effects and all that, like you need to do these things on a budget. With AI, you can do all kinds of stuff on a budget now. I'm just saying. So it just all makes sense. And the hope is that we're going to be doing 72 of his in Baton Rouge over the next 3 years. 72 series.
So we'll get to. I want to talk about your studio and why it's set up for micro dramas in just a minute. But what I want to do is I want to first make sure I understand and can paint a picture in my mind of one of these things. So let's just take Coca-Cola, who we're just picking out at random because it's a brand everyone knows, of course. Coca-Cola might have an ad right now, and that ad might have somebody funny going around, and eventually they like grab the Coca-Cola. We watch them swig and they like show the bottle to the screen. And, we've seen that ad for probably the last 70,000 years. And that's like, if you're going to do a commercial, that's a commercial, right? But a micro drama would be an actual story with characters, right? So, Jane and Bill are, adventuring and, through the jungle, and like they're running low on supplies, and they are, getting desperate until they, I don't know, at some point, like find a cache of Coca-Cola dropped by aliens, and, what's going to happen next, and who are these aliens, right? And so it's like, yes, there's like this whole story, and there happens to be some Coca-Cola in the story, but it's really the micro drama about Bill and Jane or whatever, right? Like that's what we're talking about. And then, we leave them on a cliffhanger where the alien ship just shows up, and the next micro drama will pick up with the aliens buzzing them into the ship and having a Coca-Cola celebration with them, or whatever the heck they come up with. That's clearly I'm not a writer for these things, but is that the gist of what a micro drama might be?
That sounds like a lot of traditional product placement. And it may not be as subtle. And trust me, I've had zero conversations with Coca-Cola. We're just using them.
Yeah. We're just playing a game here. So don't get all upset, Coke.
It's really a recognizable brand. And, again, I haven't really put a ton of thought into what is Coca-Cola's brand. But when you think about it, it's definitely like the holidays, for example. Think about how Coca-Cola commercials we've seen, they've got the bears, and they've got I like to teach the world to sing, So maybe like the brand, it's really like the feeling. Maybe it's like, Coca-Cola, you associate it with family and friends and holidays. And that could be a part of it, right? So next thing you know, look, I'm not telling them to like steal Hallmark's model or Lifetime's model and do a bunch of like holiday movies where they're kind of formulaic, where, the guy comes back home and or the girl comes back home and she realizes she never should have left, and she's some big CEO now. I say there's always like this kind of like there's a little soap opera to a lot of what I'm saying so far. I know one thing that Tommy tells me he wants to do is kind of elevate it. He wants to be like the HBO Max of microdramas for his platform VU. But again, compelling content, something that's going to suck you in, bring you in, and make you just want to keep watching. And that doesn't have to be a cheesy romance. I think it could be action, and I think it could be, in Coke's place, maybe it's nostalgia, maybe it's a history, going back in time. Any kind of things, right? But look, they just have a brand that's been around for over 100 years. It makes sense to take advantage of that, and, look, at the end of the day, maybe it's like you don't see like, every other scene somebody's drinking a Coke. Maybe there's just some signage, and just maybe it's the way you make you feel. Does that make sense? Or
It does. I think that, okay, so now that is compelling because, the potential to get that magic viral video is a new currency, right? We're talking about backrooms. 16-year-old kid gets a viral video, engages with 2 million people, and signs a contract. And I don't know what that kid's worth now, but it's a lot more than me. So, so nice job, buddy. But so I get the idea. And so if a brand can come up with it, but so if they do, and they come up with this, it sounds like there's a lot of pieces. And so this is where you come in, right? I mean, so talk to me a little bit about everything that you've got. So if I'm not mistaken, it's Celtic Studios, not Celtic, right? This isn't the Boston Celtics. This is
that's right. He was talking about a man named Brendan O'Connor, who was an Irish immigrant, and when he started his marine company, everybody in Baton Rouge just knew Boston Celtics, so they called it Celtic Marine. He's like, by golly, if I'm going to build a studio, I'm using the hard K sound. So
yeah. Is that how he talked, or did he have an accent? I can't do a Irish accent, but
no,
I can't do it.
More of a Boston accent.
Oh, he did. That's an accent I can do.
More of a New England type. I don't know.
Yeah. Nobody's got pack in front of Celtic Studios. That's ridiculous. So
we're like
Celtic, God damn it. Yeah. So all right. So and what does Celtic Studios do?
Yeah, so I mean, it's the largest design-built studio facility in the Gulf South. I think to this day, you have to go as far east as Atlanta to find a larger one. You have to go as far west as Albuquerque. That's probably about to change because you guys over there in Texas are, Taylor Sheridan building big stuff. I understand. So maybe as far west as Texas. But anyway, it's a facility that once upon a time had huge films that came through here, like Battleship, NBC Universal, $214 million film. Twilight Saga Breaking Dawn parts 1 and 2, which is close to 240 million when you combine them. And Oblivion with Tom Cruise, it was the first thing that he worked on with Joe Kosinski that he ended up doing Top Gun Maverick with. But I guess point is, like, tent poles were like the bread and butter for this place. It's sad because tent poles don't shoot in the US like they used to. Tent poles don't get made like they used to, and they don't have to, just because of technology and AI. Prices are coming way down, so but for scripted series, it's fantastic. At some point I am hoping to have standing sets for microdramas, which I know that's happening out in LA right now. It's in a little way that's like the old golden days of television, where you might take the Honeymooners set and turn it over for some other show. You just didn't realize it was also on the Honeymooners, but like that's kind of the world we're heading back into. But we're also going to see just AI sets. I mean, I'm just, things are just very, very different.
Yeah.
It's changing all the time.
Well, there was, in a previous episode of Content Kingdom, we did an episode with the woman who licensed all of the Friends content. So you can go to New York and you can actually go to a real Cafe Perk now, and you can sit on the Friends couch and have a coffee with your friends and take all your photos you want. And it was a really fun episode that we did on site, and people love to connect with sets like that. So that's an interesting crossover here, is that if you have a ready to go set for the microdrama, then whether it's a recognizable set that they already has some IP attached to it, or if it's just a cool set that they can leverage, you can make some hay with that. So
true story. I don't know if you're a Twilight fan. You don't necessarily strike me as a Twilight fan, but
I wouldn't tell you if I was, but I.
Then they're called Twihards, right? And so, man, they were fanatics back when Breaking Dawn parts 1 and 2 shot here. They would show up and try to gate crash and all kinds of stuff like that. And to this day, they will show up here trying to sometimes I think just want to walk the hallowed ground where Robert Pattinson and Kristen Stewart walk. But it's really more, they're looking to see if we still have sets. And true story, I offered Summit that made the film, money if they would leave the Cullen house, which was kind of the hero location set, thinking I could charge people $20 a head. But that's how crazy they are. And when I say crazy, I mean just people love what they love, and that franchise will always have an audience.
Yeah. So you're making a pretty big bet on microdramas. And so can you tell me a little bit more about what that bet looks like? And, what is the pitch if you're a CMO out there in our content kingdom and you're thinking about getting started with a microdrama, why are they coming to Celtic?
Well, I mean, again, I guess if your motivation is attention and your motivation is audiences, these definitely have been skewing a little younger. But I mean, you start looking at some of the stuff on, Real Short and Drama Box. I mean, you're talking about hundreds of millions of views sometimes, right?
Yeah.
And that's, I mean, look, you can quantify that, as to what that could mean. Again, Louisiana has $125 million a year tax incentive program, and that's limited, right? So, like, I don't know that we can afford a bunch of Marvel movies, right? But again, 175,000 for a microdrama series. Say we do 24 of those a year. That's not going to break the state's bank. It's going to keep people gainfully employed. On average, you might have 25 people, like cast and crew, working on one of these things. But steady work, I mean, and you might go straight from one right to the next. I mean, look, there's something to be said for consistent work for any jurisdiction that's trying to keep a film industry, because, when you lose work, you lose your crew. You lose your crew, the wheels start coming off the wagon. So, I just like them because at this point they're non-union, I mean, like, it's a way for people to enter the industry, the barriers to industry being like way down, and I think that if I'm talent and I've been looking for my big break, this could be your big break.
So it sounds to me like what the pitch to a CMO is that you are a strategic resource for a strategic initiative, which is you already are going to go for this moonshot to go spend a tiny little bit of money, 175 grand, which in the grand scheme of things, not very much money, right, to get a really outsized content gain, right? Which is this micro drama that could be seen by millions and totally reignite your brand and take you, from zero to hero and all that great stuff. Like, this is a true content play. And you're a strategic resource because, one, you've got a turnkey studio. How big did you say it was? 30,000 square feet with all sorts of pre-built stages and
about 150,000 square feet of stage.
150,000. Okay. Yeah. I was off by a factor of 5. Okay. Good listening skills, Dave. Anyway, 150,000 square feet in a state where you'll get a tax rebate, already have all of the qualified crew ready to go. And so it's kind of a turnkey program to say, if you want to get in the movie business and really put your brand on the map, maybe you could go play around with some other place, but if you just want to go and do this right, you can get a high quality product at the lowest possible price, which is what everybody wants, right? And knock it out. So
yeah. And again,
that sounds pretty cool.
Yeah, low cost. I mean, again, we should be able to get a 40% tax credit, on all the production spend here. So, I mean, hey, that alone, why we don't have more Madison Avenue companies shooting commercials here, I still don't know. But 40% is substantial. But I'm going to take it one step further. It's the other stuff that we have that I think, I mean, look, Louisiana is a very talented and creative state. We also have a lot of content creators. We also have what I'm representing here in the sense that, like, LSU is a brand. I mean, LSU is a very strong brand, probably one of the biggest in college sports. But we tend to turn out stars. I mean, when you think about it, it's everybody from Shaquille O'Neal to Livy Dunn, to Joe Burrow. Again, these people are, I mean, for lack of a better term, influencers, right? And they command attention. And in this economy where everybody's just trying to break through to get noticed, whatever, people like that can get you noticed. And so, I'm not saying, we have nothing formal, but we have been in discussions with LSU. Because of NIL, you can actually put student athletes in films and TV shows now. It's a great way to pay them for a skill that they might take after football or whatever, right? I mean, the stat, I think, is that 98% of all college athletes go pro in something other than the sport they played in college. Well, I mean, why not put the entire swim team in a scene that requires, central casting guys with special abilities to be flown in from LA? I can just call the LSU swim team, I mean, it's, you could put the entire offensive line in a scene or whatever. I'm just saying that, like, it's an amazing vehicle, or film and television or microdramas or whatever. It just makes too much sense. And it's a great way to tell your story if you're LSU. I mean, if you get everybody kind of rowing the same direction, playing like a team, and say you had Livy Dunn promoting it, or you had Shaquille O'Neal promoting it, I mean, the world's your oyster. So, like, I really think that we haven't really even wrapped our brains around how important influencers or creators, what do you want to call them, what they can do for you. I mean, look, I told somebody the other day, this is horrible, but it's true. If it was strictly for commercial reasons, and you gave me the choice between casting Nicole Kidman or Livy Dunn, I'm going with Livy Dunn, and it has a lot to do with her online presence. I mean, I don't know if she's at like 14, 15 million viewers or whatever. She's got her own brand. Can she win an Academy Award for acting? Maybe not yet, but she wants to get into acting. I think she's on Baywatch now. But my point is like, it's all about like your audience, and I mean, to certain, look, the younger generation may not know Nicole, who she is. They know she does the ads before the movies that say, hey, go to the movies. But have they seen a lot of Nicole Kidman movies? I don't know. She's a great actress, but if you're going for Oscars, that's one thing. If you're going for eyeballs, that's another. Does that make sense?
Oh yeah, it totally makes sense, because what you're saying is that like you've got a ready-made way to start the virality, right. So that not only do you make the cool content, but yeah, now you tap into this group of highly influential, highly respected, very attractive people to demographics that you want to tap. And you make this, of course, not only are you going to share it through all your channels, but so are they, because they're in the dang thing. And now you've just kind of primed the pump on that starter package to go viral. And so, yeah, I was thinking that you were going to start off by saying it's not far to Mardi Gras, but yeah, no, you made a better choice than that. So once again, Patrick, proving your knowledge. So great. So, okay. So that sounds pretty good. So how's it been going for you guys? Like, are you at the beginning of this program? Are you guys, do you have some micro dramas that you can talk about, or are they all still under wraps and NDA? Where are you at on that process?
Yeah, well, so I mean, I think the slate is still like being put together for one thing, but I think for us, it's laying the groundwork for something. We started something called the Golden Opportunity Media Fund, which is of course GEAUX, because that's how we do everything.
Of course, go. Yeah.
Golden Opportunity Media Fund. With the intention of being able to fund, 3 years worth of microdramas here in Baton Rouge. But it's the goal is really to expand it. I mean, look, there could be a purple and gold LSU fund that is for LSU content, and I think that like a lot of brands should be kind of thinking along those lines, because here's the thing. It isn't just an ad, right? It's not just marketing. In fact, I have some friends who are about to form a company, not kidding, called Two Birds and One Stone. And it's just because we're killing two birds with one stone. We're both marketing and entertaining, right? And not actually, it's like marketing that's so entertaining you can't tell that it's marketing, right? And so I think that that's like where we may all be headed, because again, time is valuable. People just don't have like, the ability to watch something that sucks or something that just isn't going to keep their attention, or something that they might fear missing out on, so I think that like, again, we start thinking along the lines of, hey, just because like it is going to make somebody feel good about a brand or a product, that it has to suck,
Yeah. Right? That's actually a good point, because I've seen plenty of things that don't have anything to do with brands, and it absolutely sucks. So I don't think those two things do not need to be correlated in one direction or the other. So, that's great. So let's go back to this. What did you call it? The Go Fund,
the Golden Opportunity Media Fund. Yes.
Golden Opportunity. Yeah. So that's a fund does that subsidize microdramas? Like if I was the CMO of Coca-Cola and I said, all right, Patrick, you convinced me, I'm coming down. Are you saying not only do I get the 40% tax break, but I get subsidies? Is that what that is? Or do I have that wrong?
Right. No. I guess I forgot to say this was that like, the point is that like, not only are you going to sell your product, you're actually going to be able to like make money off of the ad, right? I mean, which you can. I mean, if it's entertaining enough, people will pay to see it. And I think that if you start thinking along the lines of, hey, look, it's content. Normally I was going to have to like advertise around somebody else's content, but hey, it'll just be my content, and my content can actually make money if it's good enough, right?
Yeah.
I have a fantasy here. I mean, we have a company here called Raising Cane's. Are you familiar with Raising Cane's?
I've heard the expression. And you mean the restaurant?
It's a chicken finger franchise, right?
Yeah. The restaurant. Yeah, sure.
It's the fastest growing in the world. And you may not realize this, but it was started right here in Baton Rouge, right outside the gates of LSU in 1996, right? By Todd Graves. It's now worth 22 billion plus, right? I mean, so it's a huge brand and it's a fun brand. So, again, my fantasy is for Raising Cane's to get into the game. I mean, with 22 billion, he could have bought Paramount last year, right? But I think that, when you start thinking along the lines of like, hey, not only am I selling chicken, I'm actually selling a brand, and I'm selling a feeling, and I'm selling like, just content that's cool that people want to see. Again, that could be a huge difference maker. Look, Chick-fil-A is already doing this in Atlanta. Dan Cathy, who owns Trilith Studios, used to be called Pinewood, right? They announced that they were going to have their own streaming channel, right? I mean, a Chick-fil-A streaming channel, and
wow,
their brand is kind of family friendly. I mean, look, this is a company that refuses to be open on Sunday. Their brand means something, maybe on the faith-based side or whatever, or just family friendly, inspirational. But it makes a lot of sense. I think you're going to see that with a lot of companies. They just like, hey, who are we? What's our story? What stories do we want to tell? Can we make money from those stories? And you can, not beyond just like selling more chicken fingers or Coca-Colas or flights to wherever if you're Delta. I'm saying that like CMOs need to be thinking like studios. That's really kind of the key here. They need to be thinking like, I'm the new Warner Brothers, I'm the new Disney.
Wow. So you just took it up a level. So where we started this was, hey, we'll make it micro drama so that we could secretly do product placement. And you were like, well, that was level 1. Now level 2 is no. You just go in and you just make content that evokes a feeling that's associated with our brand. So people see this content and it evokes a feeling and it's similar to our brand. And so they interact with our brand more or have a better brand affinity. And now to level 3 is no. You could just go make your own media studio content, make money off of that. And yes, and you'll get the triple whammy of the other 2 things. Plus you're just, you're in the content business and you're a studio making great content.
That's it. You're in the storytelling business. Your brand has a story to tell. Go tell it, and make money off it. Make it so good, put the right talent in it. What everybody's to be challenged with is just how do you cut through all the AI, right? I mean, look, I can get on Instagram right now. I can go watch Mr. Rogers hanging out with Tupac. It looks flawless, right? I mean, you would swear Mr. Rogers and Tupac hung out, and it's
as
hilarious.
They did, yeah,
right. And that was did they? I don't know. I need to go research this, but I guess the point is that's just it. Trust is everything. I mean, like, how do we know that's real or that really happened? Or I mean, they're going to be looking for authentic, all the things, like human connection. That's why I'm telling you, sports is never going to go away. Sports is only get bigger because the outcome's not scripted. At least we hope it's not. I mean, again, the human element, that's what makes it compelling. So telling compelling stories and having compelling reasons to, hey, look, Coke doesn't just make a great, product. They make a great movie, like I want to watch the next Coke movie or whatever. Right. That's kind of like how I see things going.
So Patrick, what are you doing to get the word out about this offer other than being a guest on Content Kingdom and telling me about it? How are you getting to the right people? Who do you want to get to and how are you getting to them now?
Oh gosh, I probably don't do it enough. I'm just trying to do right now, which is again, put together this fund and, get tax credits and people and everything lined up. But I will say this, like, it's about connections and like, I think that connecting with great storytellers and getting storytellers thinking along these lines, and that when I say storytellers, that could be directors, that could be writers, musicians. I mean, again, you don't have to make something just because you think Coke will like it. But I'm saying that, like, if you start thinking like, okay, where do we start on this? And that's like, I'm kind of focusing now, like, okay, we're getting started with these microdramas, but does it have to end with microdramas? And I don't think it does. I think it's, scripted series that you might watch on Netflix, or it's, a story that's so good and compelling that, like say it's Billy Cannon or, we had a Heisman Trophy winner before Joe Burrow and before Jaden Daniels, who went to federal prison for counterfeiting, right? So, but now he has the only statue in front of Tiger Stadium. Why is that? Well, because he has this great redemption story that nobody's ever heard. That's the kind of thing that, hey, if you tell it right, maybe that's Oscar bait, so, but does it actually like promote the LSU brand? No, I cannot watch Rudy without thinking of Notre Dame. I can't watch, I can't think of Notre Dame without thinking of Rudy. I mean, they are one and the same now. So
yeah,
when you start thinking along those lines of telling your best stories, I think there's no reason why you can't, like we said, two birds in one stone.
Yeah. And so in addition to Celtic Studios, maybe you could talk about the relationship between that and Irrevocable Designee. How do those two things work together? And, what is your role there?
Okay. Well, so once upon a time, Louisiana had the same tax incentive that Georgia has right now. I mean, you see that Georgia peach on everything. Gosh, Georgia probably was doing $1.3 billion worth of tax credits. Well, we're like at 10% of that now, right? Just because of our cap. But Georgia has all these Fortune 500 companies like Coca-Cola, Delta Airlines, Home Depot, they have a very, very long list. Point being that like those companies can take tax credits that are, earned by Disney or Warner Brothers or Netflix, and they can, transfer them. They can purchase them and use them to offset their income tax liability. So it's this like symbiotic relationship. And you want to know how Georgia got so big? Well, that's it. They have transferable tax credits. Unfortunately, our legislature decided they didn't want ours to be fully transferable in Louisiana anymore. So that once the credits are issued to the production company or whoever, they can't be transferred. However, the law allows for a production company to name an irrevocable designee at any point before the credits are issued, meaning that a Louisiana taxpayer can step in, before the state issues those credits. And so we're not brokers, we are matchmakers. We just go find a taxpayer in Louisiana, it will be a company or an individual who might need those or could use those to offset. And it helps the production company, because if I were to like make it here in Louisiana and then I have to turn it back into the state, like they sell them back to the states. That's what 90% of all productions do. They sell them back to the state. It could take anywhere from 60 days to 11 months for the state to turn around and write a check. If you monetize them this way, it's like, wow, I could actually like get a little bit more than what the state is offering, and I can do it exponentially faster. So we formed a company just to play matchmaker, just because somebody needed to do it. And so that's what we do.
Okay. All right. So that's just another way in which you help brands, make this a financially high ROI experiences.
Right. And that's also, well, I was going to say, that's why we started the Golden Opportunity Media Fund, because we're going to start playing matchmaker between private equity and projects that need it. They will earn tax credits. They will earn them once they spend the money. So it's like, well, let's just go ahead and find like a great project and connect them with somebody who, wants to jump in. So
awesome. So if I were a chief marketing officer and I'd listened to this episode and I was like, all right, I'm in, I want to do this. What are the first couple steps I need to take in order to kind of get things in motion?
Yeah. No, step one is call me. Look, anybody, we have great relationships. Obviously I'm a, kind of bleed purple and gold. If somebody wanted to like get in touch with LSU, I'd be more than happy to get you in touch with LSU. But taking it one step further, if this is part of like what you think might be a great way for your company to connect with audiences, to get their attention, to build up your brand even further, to sell a product, like there's no better place, in my opinion, to do it than Louisiana because of the 40% tax credit, right? There's a way to get a flat 40% tax credit, which is, bankable. So that brings your cost down for one. Again, it's all about how do we pull this off? Louisiana's got 20 something years worth of and industry building through incentives. I mean, I think we've had 8 films nominated for Best Picture in a span of 15 years or so. Point being that like we've got crew that can make anything, so it's all about, do you have the infrastructure to do it? We have the infrastructure to do anything. And so, I'm going to say, I'm halfway joking. I'm happy to get people in touch with the right people, directors, writers, musicians, you name it, whatever it takes to do something cool. And look, Louisiana's got a pretty good track record of producing talent out of here, so fact, Steven Soderbergh, I'm wearing the hat right now for the Baton Rouge Underground Film Festival, which is coming up in August, and I highly recommend it. This is the birthplace of modern independent film because Steven Soderbergh made Sex, Lies, and Videotape here in 1988, and it went on to win the Sundance Film Festival, put the Sundance Film Festival on the map. Won the Palme d'Or at Cannes. It just, unfortunately, the thing is this: back then we didn't realize how important the content creator was, right? And we lost Steven Soderbergh, just like we lost Tyler Perry. Tyler Perry is in Atlanta now, but he's from New Orleans originally, right? So, look, it's a new era where content creators are really important, and so you have to give them the resources that they have. But the crazy thing about content creators is they don't need the resources that they used to. I mean, just because of AI and the cost of everything being down, and they've got distribution on their phone, so.
Yeah. So as a CMO, I'd want to probably start working on my concept, and I'd have my concept ready to go. And when I'm ready to do it, and I'm ready to like roll up my sleeves and actually get this thing created, that's the time that to really reach out to you guys. And because you've got the resources and all the things that you need, so then it's teed up. That makes a lot of sense. So what do you think is going to be the key success factors for a brand that does this right?
Oh goodness, that's a good question. Obviously, like the ones that do it consistently, the ones that have earned trust. I mean, earned attention. I guess, again, if we're in the attention economy, maybe we're moving into the earned attention economy where, nobody wants to have their time wasted. Just like, nobody wants to buy a bad product. They know that concept. Like, again, that's bad for the brand if they sell a bad product. Well, don't put out a bad product if you're going to get in the entertainment business. Like think about A24. When we think of A24, they've built a brand. I mean, it's going to be original. It's going to be different. It's not going to feel like a waste of my time, right? And that trust is going to have to be earned. That people consistently want to keep coming back to your platform or to your website or to whatever to see what you're doing next because like you make really great stuff. So
yeah.
I think that like when you start getting repeat business, then you'll know you're being successful.
Yeah. On the A24 comment, it is interesting because A24, I think, is the only studio that people will go see a movie because it was made by A24, not because they know anything about the actors or they like the storyline or, they're just like A24 made it. I want to see it. And I think that is the gold standard, right? If you can get an audience like that, where people are like, oh, this was made by my favorite brand, it's going to be good. I'm going to like it. I'm going to, see it. And therefore I'm going to check it out. So now you just get that attention and that affinity back from them. So that's pretty great. All right, Patrick. So if chief marketing officers want to beat down your door and figure out how to make incredibly high ROI productions in Louisiana, then how do they get a hold of you?
I mean, look, I'm painfully accessible on LinkedIn. So you're more than welcome to find me on LinkedIn, Patrick Mulhearn. And, look at our website is irrevocabledesignee.com. Again, I know it's a mouthful and it's not easy to spell, but it's, IRREVOCABLE.
Yes. Irrevocable Designee.
Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah, exactly. That's right. So .com. So yeah. I mean, look, I love meeting new people. I love obviously I like touting Louisiana, like why I think it's a great place to produce anything. I mean, that's been my job for a very long time, is to try to lure Hollywood here. But I was saying earlier, like the days of luring Hollywood are over. It's like you got to be able to green light your own projects. And we're talking about A24. What's so great about them is they make original content, and that's what people get really excited about. It's like something new that they hadn't seen before. I mean, Hollywood just, it plays by the golden rule of he's got the gold makes the rules. And, a lot of times it's these big, corporate hedge funds or whatever that have the gold, and they're answering to shareholders. And when you're answering to shareholders, let's go make Transformers 10 or 11, whatever, it's a whole lot of sequels, a whole lot of reboots of just something that was successful in the past. And people are tired of that. You know, I mean, like, sure, every now and then there's a franchise that I love and I want to go see in a, big IMAX theater, but sometimes you just want to see something new and, something that's why A24 has built a brand of originality. But it's also why like a lot of execs that I used to know in the industry are out of work now because again, they got complacent, and you can't get complacent. You've got to give people a reason to go to a theater or to get on your streaming service or whatever. So, I go off on lots of tangents, but just I felt like I needed to kind of get that rant out of again, we can't be dependent on Hollywood to bring us work. Content creators are everything, at this point. So I was telling a story about Addison Rae. You know what I'm talking about?
Mm-hmm.
So Addison Rae, one of the biggest, personalities on social media. She was an LSU student, just a few years ago. Yeah.
And I didn't know that.
She had, some videos on TikTok that went viral of her dancing, I mean, now she's her own economy. She's a brand. I mean, she has 131 million followers across all platforms, and not to pick on the Pope, but the Pope only has 66 million, I'm just, he's got a pretty strong brand with the Catholic Church and about 1.4 billion followers anyway. So, but it's why like an Addison Rae is able to get attention these days. I mean, if I'm Sony or Disney or whoever, that's who I would be talking to about, content. So.
Well, it sounds like the Pope ought to start making content in Louisiana.
Oh, he makes a lot of content.
But is it Louisiana? I don't think so.
He's been making content for a very, very long time. It's got a Bible thing.
All right, Patrick, thank you so much for being a phenomenal guest. You convinced me. I think Coca-Cola will start making films, and hopefully they make them with you. So, yeah. So thank you again, Patrick, and go Tigers.
Go Tigers.
Spring, fall, winter, summer. What's your favorite season?
Winter.
Favorite activity in winter?
Football.
Football. You don't think of that as a fall sport?
Okay. I'm a redneck at heart. I'm from Mississippi, so hunting is a big thing I do.
Ooh. So. Whiskey, wine, beer, coffee, tea.
Beer. Yeah.
Beer?
No, I'm a simple kind of man,
Favorite state other than your home state?
Oh gosh, that's tough. But
I'm going to call Louisiana your home state now, since you're like diehard Louisiana this whole episode. So you can't say Mississippi and you can't say Louisiana. So pick one other than those.
Look, I'll be honest with you. Ohio and Texas would have to duke it out.
Favorite country outside your home country?
Ireland. Yeah. Spent some time over there.
Yeah.
I mean, a name like Patrick Mulhearn. I mean, there's a little bit of an Irish kid.
Do it yourself or hire someone else?
Oh man, that depends on what it is. I mean, if it's something that I can go on a YouTube video and do, by all means. If my time is valuable, I'm hiring somebody else.
All right, fair enough.